Yes, maybe you are very well-intentioned and a very kind person. You become a propeller to help the people around you in some way, but do you think that despite making so much effort, you do not get the respect you deserve? Well, you are experiencing the biggest problem that polite people experience. Unfortunately, today's world is harsh on polite people. He doesn't respect people very much, even though some of the behaviors we do are good for other people, they can be interpreted as inferiority, especially in that dominant world system. I would like to talk about some things you should pay attention to in order to be a more respectful person, to be a little aware of such things and to protect ourselves. Even though it is done, the first behavior that is interpreted as inferiority by other people is apologizing too much. Maybe you are afraid of hurting other people, but you think that no one will be harmed by me, I will not break anyone's heart, but from the outside, this is the case. Unfortunately, if you are a person who apologizes 20 to 30 times a day, it is almost on top of you. You walk around with a sign saying, "I'm sorry for any inconvenience I've caused." Of course, figuratively speaking, other people think that you do and have self-confidence, and since you don't have self-confidence, I won't have confidence in you, and you don't deserve respect. Maybe by realizing that you don't deserve respect, maybe they think unconsciously, and then you become that much. When you apologize a lot, this can even be turned into a laughing matter by some people. If what you did is not a really bad thing and you did not really hurt anyone, please do not apologize unnecessarily. Every apology you make will take away a piece of your respect and make you look like a loser. We encounter many problems during the day, many people ask us questions, we may have to explain some things in some way, but the ratio of the words we use here is so important that you do not know how to think, you have to explain. Someone said to you, I will even give a very simple example, someone asked you for an address on the road. You somehow explained it in 35 reasonable sentences. There is no problem here, but when you sit down and try to explain a subject in 30 to 40 sentences or 50 sentences, people interpret this as weakness, inexperience, in business life, in school life. Explain, as I said, I do not use the ideal level, you know. It is necessary to explain too much, to talk too much, to somehow explain yourself non-stop. This will be interpreted as a weakness on the other side, because people's mental mechanisms say that sometimes the person is not even aware of this, but if he explains so much, this person probably does not believe what he says, nor do they believe it. Why should I believe that? That's why I think it would be beneficial to reduce the unnecessary words we use. He said, sacrifice. Yes, it is one of the most beautiful virtues in the world, but if a person makes a lot of sacrifices to the people around him, if he makes sacrifices even to those who do evil to him without distinguishing between good and bad, if we still use him for those who use him, if it continues like this, the situation arises. Do you know how it is perceived by others? You are doing all this. Maybe you are doing it with a serious effort, but the man outside thinks of it like this. If he reveals it unintentionally, there is much more than this, so what you put forward are rare stones. Maybe you are more than a little deep inside. He plucked it from the depths and revealed it by suffering. He treats noon like a pebble. That's why you have to make a sacrifice to those who deserve it. If the person in front of you is a malicious person, if the other person is using you, I will not make unnecessary sacrifices. This will cause those people to use you. It is a nice feeling when someone praises you. Can't you accept the compliment when he says something or does something? Do you make too many statements to somehow reject or trivialize the situation? In this case, unfortunately, in the real world, it's interpreted as being a loser. Maybe you think you're being humble. Maybe you think you're doing a good deed. But unfortunately, the real world interprets it like this. Let's say someone liked your outfit and your hair. He tells you how beautiful it is. You immediately explain that outfit and say, I bought it from the market for 15 liras. I had it done, it is a great success and you are presenting a beautiful thesis. When someone dies, our teacher suggested it and it happened because of this. If you do not accept the braid, after a while, people really think that you do not deserve that braid. So, if someone praises you, please accept it. Some people do not want to do anything alone. Sometimes, even in things that seem very easy, they always want to have someone with them. Of course, in some situations, it is natural to want to be alone. but you always need someone. After a while, it seems like people interpret you as an immature person who cannot do anything on his own. One of the most important conditions for a person to be perceived as strong is to be able to do things on his own, even without other people. If you can do this, you look stronger. You seem to be a respectable person. Maybe you complain about everything because you are waiting for attention. You are always a winner. You constantly complain to people about every problem in your life. Think about your relationships with the people around you. Think about your dialogues and conversations. If the content of these conversations always consists of you complaining about something, you will always be complaining about something. If your conversations with people consist of lessons in life, that is, conversations in which you complain about your lover, your spouse, your job, your financial situation, after a while, people will start to get bored of your conversations and somehow they will start to get bored of you. They will start to stay away from you. I can tell you this. Of course, you will have problems. Of course, the test that will make you feel empty is your only agenda. Unfortunately, if the other person finds this, it is a very serious problem for the other person to write to you or to put someone at the center of your life, especially in romantic relationships. I see the same situation in women and sometimes in men. Someone will come into my life and then everything in my life will be completed. Then I will complete it. Unfortunately, it's not a realistic thing. You exist by yourself. You exist as an individual. Of course, the relationships you establish socially, the relationships you establish romantically, will enrich your soul, but what happens if you are always dependent on others for your own existence? As I just said, they get bored of you again, and people who are addicted, people who put other people at the center of their lives, are afraid of being abandoned, but they overwhelm those people so much, it suits them. Unfortunately, most of the time, what they fear happens to you. As an individual, I have to accept your own existence. Of course, we need other people, but other people will never be yours. There is a saying I always say that should not be indispensable for you. Maybe if you have been following me before, you have heard this saying. If you were an angel, they would be disturbed by the sound of your wings. No matter what you do, you will do everything you can to please other people. However, some of the people, even some of the people you have done a lot of good for, will criticize you. But you are devastated in response to the criticism you receive. Sen, you are constantly trying to prove yourself, you are trying to explain yourself. This prevents you from being a respected person. Unfortunately, people still do not respect you. Unfortunately, the more successful you are, the more criticism you will receive, the more negative comments will come. Sometimes you have to meet these with maturity. If you give an answer to every criticism, somehow you try to respond even to a person who is not in your class, you suddenly realize that you think about the quality of the person you are responding to. Therefore, what you really need to respond to is to respond to the criticisms of people who benefit from being in communication with that person. You need to listen to people's criticisms. If I have an answer for every word, after a while you will realize that people do not respect you as much as they used to. As I said, you are an individual being. Sometimes you have to make your own decisions on your own. But you, in every step you take, in every job you do, maybe even in a shoe or a sock, you will always be surrounded by the people around you. If you take her again, people start to respect you again because something like this occurs in her mind and she can't do anything on her own. So mindful is somehow either not a very intelligent person or not a person with supreme power who can somehow manage her life. If you don't want to create this on your own, you have to do something. Of course, sometimes you can make mistakes, sometimes things may not go the way you want. But this is also a part of my life. I pray a lot, I am afraid of doing something on my own. There is no problem in getting approval from time to time, but if it becomes the center of your life, it is a troublesome situation. Well, my dear friend, what you experience in your daily life. Have you ever experienced behavior that is misunderstood or interpreted as inferiority by other people, even though you are normally very well-intentioned? You can share these with us in the comments section. Thank you for listening to me. You are a beautiful person. Be good to yourself.